Alright y'all, welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be talking to y'all about motorcycle camping and using the tent and the hammock style of camping on your motorcycle. We're going to talk the pros and the cons of each one. To do this video, we are at my campground, the K River Campground in Moyers, Oklahoma. So these tactics we're talking about today will be for campgrounds and if you're just camping off-grid in the bush. If y'all have not yet, please click that subscribe button down below. Over 60% of our watchers have not yet clicked that subscribe, so it's up to you. Let's get this video started. Today I'm talking to y'all about the tent versus the hammock for your motorcycle trip. Which is the better way to go? I think a lot's going to depend on your circumstances and your situation, but let's go over some of the things that I personally think. And a quick disclaimer, this is my personal thoughts. By no means are they fact or anything you can live and die by. It's just my experience after a few 100,000 miles of American motorcycle road trips. So one thing you want to think about, probably one of the most important things when packing on a motorcycle, it's much like backpacking, and the size of your gear matters. The smaller the better, right? So when you compare the two in size, let's take a look. This is the hammock, bug fly, and rain fly. With those three combined, having all three, you are about a third the size of this tent. So the clear winner of this category is obviously your hammock. Stop tent time. They are fairly close, but certainly y'all got to see which one I did faster. I will say I am much more experienced setting up a tent. So now the question is tent or hammock? And to do that, I want to talk a little bit about the benefits and some of the drawbacks to each of them. And y'all can make a decision what works best for you. But before we go any further, I think I need to get rid of that rain fly so I can show you what it looks like to sit inside this hammock in just the bug fly and in the hammock itself. Before we go too far into the pros and cons, let me tell you there's also another style, and that is a bivvy, a lean-to if you will, off of your bike that I usually do with like a poncho liner. You can see pictures on my Instagram of that. It's just Adam Sandoval.official on Instagram. Go there, scroll all the way back to the beginning, and you'll see me camping underneath my bike with a lean-to. But today, we're talking about tent versus hammock. So let's start with some of the details. Number one, when you get to a campsite, you've got to find a place to set up. With the tent, you need to find trees, but in some parts of the country, there aren't a lot of trees. And at that point, your tent is going to become your better option. But let's say you are in an area that has trees. Tent versus hammock. Well, the nice part about the hammock is you're up off the ground. You don't need to worry about clearing the sticks, clearing the rocks, making sure you're on a level ground, making sure you're not in a water path. There's a lot of benefits to the prep time for your camping area when it comes to the hammock. So I'm gonna give area prep, we're giving that check mark to the hammock. Let's talk incremental weather. In the incremental weather, primarily rain, you're looking at a couple different scenarios here. They both have rain flies, that will keep you dry. But there's a couple things that you need to think about with the tent that you don't with the hammock. Again, being in the stream of water, water seeping into your tent, the hammock. You are clear out of the path of any water running across the ground. So, rain, we have to give the check mark to the hammock. Hot weather. Hot weather is another thing that you are going to encounter a lot of times out on the road. And if you are in hot weather, you are going to find that in the tent, that with the rain fly off, you get pretty good circulation and it can be okay. But it is going to be a fraction hotter than your hammock. Your hammock is going to get circulation underneath you, all around you. So in the hot temperatures, I think you're going to find your hammock to be more comfortable. Check mark to the hammock. Cold weather. Nobody likes cold weather. Certainly for me, the cold weather is a tough one. So when it comes to the hammock, the same thing that helped you in the heat, that wind going underneath you, is now gonna hurt you. The cold weather is gonna affect you more in that hammock than it is in the tent. There are things you can do in the hammock, like putting pads underneath you and things like that. But in the comparison, I have to give the check mark to the cold weather to the tent. Versatility and positions. This is one that's gonna be a little bit debatable. But for me, when I'm in a hammock, I'm pretty limited. I can lay straight, I can lay at a little bit of an angle, but that's pretty much it. As far as multiple positions, propping myself up, changing, dressing, wiping down, any basic hygiene type stuff, I find it much more difficult in a hammock than I do in a tent, where I can close it up, I can kneel down, I can sit down, and inside that tent I can maneuver, I can get dressed in privacy. So when it comes to versatility and privacy, I have to give that check mark to the tent. Gear. When we're talking gear, there's a couple things to consider. One, storing your gear. It's much easier to store your gear inside your tent. And if I'm leaving my tent there and taking off for an hour or something, I can zip up and put my gear in there and it's not so tempting. In a hammock, I can certainly put the gear under the rain fly, but there's a good chance somebody might see it and I could come home and not have some of my gear where I left. So I'm gonna give the check mark to the tent. Comfort. Comfort's a big thing. After all, you are getting this thing to sleep in, correct? So being comfortable is important. There's a couple things to think about here. In a tent, you need something like this that you can unroll, you can lay on and sleep. Now this can be an expensive addition if you want a really good one, but you're gonna need this for your tent. For the hammock, not the case. To me, the hammock is just more comfortable than the tent. Check mark, hammock. Let's talk wind. This is a big one. If neither one of these are easy to set up in the wind, but if you are setting up a hammock and a rain fly in the wind, it is gonna be a bit more difficult. So in high wind, I'm gonna recommend the tent. So another thing to think about with a tent is you're gonna have to have stakes to set it up in the ground. And if you find yourself out west in the rocks and the hard ground, I have been in a situation before where I could not get those stakes into the ground. So please consider getting a tent that does not require stakes. I'm about to start a 5,000-mile road trip through New Mexico, Arizona, and out west. Listen, if you all want to know where my schedule is and where I'm going, go to my website, adamsandoval.com, and you can find my full schedule, where I'm gonna be, where I'm gonna be traveling to, and maybe you can meet up and catch me. Of course, I will be at Arizona Bike Week, but for the rest of the year, if you wanna see where we're at, go to adamsandovalrides.com, check it out, and while you're there, pick yourself up some of the Americans merch and wear your freedom. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can check the link of this video we did just the other day. What am I doing? Taking the tent or the hammock? Well, I'm gonna tell you, I pack light, and I will do another video that explains my packing and what exactly I'm gonna take on this trip. But as far as the tent versus the hammock, for my next road trip, I'm gonna take both. That's right, I'm gonna pack the room, I'm gonna take both. I am out west, so there's times I'm gonna need the tent. But as much time as I can spend in that hammock, you better believe I'm going to, because to me it's just a little bit more peaceful and, you know, I just enjoy it. So that is it, hammock versus tent. I hope we gave you some good information and hope that helps make the decision a little bit easier for you on your next road trip, and maybe gave you some things to think about that you haven't thought about before. So those of you that have experience with tents and hammocks, let me know your thoughts below. Did I hit it on the mark? Did I miss anything? Share it with the community. Y'all go down there and read the comments, and you might find some things that I didn't even share that make perfect sense. All right, y'all, that is it for today's video. I want you all to remember, 60% of you watching my videos have not clicked that subscribe button, and it makes all the world difference in making it so we can create more videos like this for you. I've got a lot of stuff I want to throw at you this year, so please take the time to go to YouTube and click that subscribe button. If you're watching on Facebook, I thank you for that, but if you want to do me a solid, make that trip over to YouTube. Watch me there. You get the videos a day earlier, and by watching there, it helps me so much more. 5 videos a week coming at you every week. We will see y'all Monday, and remember, whatever it is you want to do this weekend, you stay stubborn. You go do it. Don't let anybody tell you different. We'll see you later.